I'm here with Eugenie Bondurant, an actress, an acting coach, and producer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm honored. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming to the 6th Annual Dunedin International Film Festival.
It's been lovely. It's been really, really lovely. And every time I come here, it's always another wonderful surprise. And the festival just grows and it's growing organically. And it's really a fun thing to see.
Well, I know that we appreciate your support in being here as we continue to grow it. So thank you. So a lot of our listeners will definitely already know who you are, but go ahead and give us your story with Hollywood.
Oh, I'm just, one of those little actors that just happened to arrive. I was modeling back, I'll try to make this brief, but I was modeling back in the day in my late 20s. And a boyfriend moved to Los Angeles and he invited me and I did. And I thought, me modeling in Los Angeles, it's like oil and water. And I ended up falling into acting by booking a commercial, a really fat, yummy Hanes pantyhose commercial that ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. And it spun off and did all this stuff. And I thought, oh, this is another way. What did I do? So I ended up staying there and taking classes and actually teaching while I was taking classes, and I just ended up falling into this business. So I'm an actor and I love it, and I'm also an acting coach. So I've been doing that almost about the same amount of time. I've had my SAG card and been an acting coach around the same amount of time.
And so what is acting coaching? What does that look like for you?
Oh my gosh, I was coaching some of my actors today.
Today, like this morning?
Like this morning from 10 to 12, yeah. I give them that time when we have a large class, and so it's a spillover. It's from New Orleans, so we call it lagniappe, a little something extra that I give them. It's a lab. If they want to come to the lab, they can, put up a scene. I have more time with them. We can dig deeper into the scene work and find what is the connection, what's happening. What's happening in the scene, what is the arc, what is the conflict, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been amazing. My actors teach me. It's incredibly rewarding. That's what it's about.
Well, that's always like the best teachers, those lifelong learners, the ones that always know there's more to learn, there's more to grow from people at any stage of their career.
Absolutely.
I recently heard a story about Ron Howard and how, as a director and producer, when he has a question or he wants to solve something, he asks the question far and wide, and anyone can answer it.
So we have a part in our class. So I run a studio, it's called Station 12 Studio. And we have a section in our class that I think is one of the most important things. So going on what you told me about Ron Howard. And it's called the What's Going On segment. And top of class, where for about 40 to 45 minutes, we talk about what's going on. Auditions, how to get an agent, something that might be confusing in the business. If a storyline is confusing, we have writers in the class where maybe they're having issues with a certain part in there, in a scene or structure of the scene or something. And everyone discusses it. We all contribute. And I think it's important one of the things that it does, we create a community and we also bring everybody up. It's like I'm reaching a hand down. People have reached hands to me to bring me up. I'm reaching the hand, bringing them up. We're all working together. What Ron Howard said, that sense of a community and trusting people help the actor, the performer, or the writer, or the filmmaker, or whatever, keep an open mind to possible changes or conflicts or whatever in their work. It just shows me that Ron Howard is an open and a very cool guy.
Yes.
Which we all know. Come on.
And I think it just goes into that collaborative environment. Why it's so important to collaborate, because each person's perception is so different. Even though they're all working on the same film and the same production, they are all seeing very different angles of that production.
Absolutely. So I'm going to bring it back to the Dunedin Film Festival.
Yes.
What's really fun for me is to go to a shorts block or to one of the films or something, but really with the shorts block. And I see my act performing. I see my actors producing. I see actors in the community that may or may not have worked with me, but that I know that are working. And they're all in the audience celebrating each other, and they're so excited. That's what I think is so special about this film festival, is we celebrate local talent.
Yes.
And we lift them up. This might be the first time a director might do a project, and there it is on the screen. And that person's fan base is there to support them, along with other people's fan base, and then they get exposure. It's so cool.
I mean, and that's like the magic of film festivals as a whole. And you're coming and you're not seeing this already produced in AMC. You're seeing the magic and you're seeing the camaraderie and the vulnerability of the people who created that art and seeing that there. And, you talked about the local celebration that we have here. And I believe your school is in St. Petersburg.
It's
right?
in St. Pete at Greenlight Cinema.
Yes.
Cinema, see? How cool is that? We celebrate cinema in the cinema.
Yes, and keeping it going. And so St. Pete and Dunedin, we're neighbors. We're right here with each other. And that's one of the unique things I do see. I see that local support from the Dunedin Film Festival, the Sunscreen Film Festival, to what we have here. And it's just a community camaraderie of creating art. Mm-hmm. And people don't think of that in Florida. They think New York, they think California, Hollywood. And so as somebody who advocates for the growth of performing in Florida. And I know that you've helped, be a part of the different film commissioners that we've partnered with, and just really making this be a hot spot in the industry. So tell me more about that. Why Florida for you?
Why Florida? Because I'm married to a Florida boy.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we met in LA, and I was moving back to New Orleans, my hometown, and he kind of cut me off at the pass. Said, "What about Tampa?" And I thought, yes. No. It's just an hour plane flight away from New Orleans, which was a good, placated me. Oh, okay, I can buy that. Well, then I fell into this wonderful community, His mother lives here. She's still alive. We love her. He has this whole thing of friends. So that's why we're in Tampa. And that's why, he now runs a music venue, a Palladium Theater in St. Petersburg. And we've created this I feel like we live in an artistic hamlet here in Pinellas County. All of the arts are just blooming, and we've tried to nurture them. That may sound like a lot of hogwash, but it really isn't. People, it's like, drinking the Kool-Aid. You come here, you look, and you go, I like this place. I think I want to move here. It really is.
It is.
So, yeah, that's why I'm here. And you know what my husband tells me? Eugenie, you've actually booked the most prominent or most, the biggest roles you've ever done right here in St. Pete. And he's right. I give him credit.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm glad he stopped you off at the go. Me too. I love it. I love how they seduce you in. Well, it's an hour flight.
It's an hour flight. Yeah, it's good.
Yes. That's what my best friend keeps telling me. She lives a 90-minute little St. Pete flight away from me, from the St. Pete airport to Chattanooga.
Oh, that's so good.
Yes. And so she's like, it's like we live together.
It's not far away.
Yeah. It's just an hour flight. And we buy it. Yeah, that's how we live on planes. Because an hour flight, that works. So
true. And Chattanooga's so cool.
Yes. Oh, it's a cool town. I love it. So that's what you're down here. I said in Florida. So man brought you down.
Man, heart, love.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
The heart's coming out. So he brought you down here to Florida, to the southeast Hollywood, and you booming it. So let's talk about some of those roles. What are some of those roles that you landed while kind of living here in Florida, and what has that been like for you?
Very interesting. When I moved here, there were no self-tapes. You didn't do self-tapes. You went in person. You were still going in the room. When I left LA, I had reached a certain age, and it was like, oh yeah, well, we know, casting director. I'd gone, and the auditions were fewer. Mm-hmm. And, well, New Orleans is great. I wanted to move home anyway. When I moved here, I couldn't wrap my mind around driving to Miami and driving back for a first-time commercial audition. It just blew my mind. And so I booked a few things right out of the gate, got an agent, booked a few things, and then I backed off for a solid maybe 4 or 5 years. And I just really focused on coaching. Cut to St. Pete, right around the time that, unbeknownst to me, Hunger Games was casting. It had a different name, which I can't remember at the moment, but it had a different name. My agent called me and said, you're going to audition for this. You're going to put yourself on tape. I was renovating a house, like literally me. I called my home, and I would be white from head to toe because I'm sanding the walls and dust is all over. I'm like, we were living in 2 small rooms. She said, no, you're auditioning for this project and I need the tape by this day. So, and I'm going to be on you. So I did. I auditioned. Thought, what? She's got a cat like what's that? All right, fine. And that's when self-tapes really first started, right? And I ended up, getting a call back and ultimately booking that. And it dawned on me, maybe it's time to get back into the business. And I did. And fortunately, that really turned my head. I'd done small things, but nothing, while I was here, but nothing that really opened my eyes to think, wait, stop. You know what you're doing and you can do this. So since then, that was Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, where I played Tigress. 6 hours of makeup. I've also booked, there was a project here I'm very proud of that most people in the community know. It wasn't a huge blockbuster, but it was such a solid project called Fear of Rain.
Oh, yes.
And I'm very proud of that. And that not only am I proud of my work, but the entire production, the producers, the director has gone on to book so many different, really work on so many different things. One of which one project that I worked with her again in the spring. I booked Conjuring. The devil made me do it. I was the occultist Iskla. I was in Conjuring. And I've done a number of other projects. What's interesting is here in this community in Tampa, St. Pete, many of the projects that I've been on, like Fear of Rain, was fabulous and got a lot of recognition nationwide. That producer went on to produce a number of projects. He had done many things before, but he did a number of projects here, kept the work here.
Yes.
And then other projects are coming here. Did another project a year or 2 years ago, 115 Grains. AK produced and directed that, and he's got a project back at the Dunedin Film Festival. So many of these projects are here, and they're finding footing here. And they're SAG projects, too. I mean, they may not be big blockbuster films, but they've got a hold, and they've got roots here, and they're pretty substantial. Oh, I forgot. Another one was a Marvel project. Werewolf by Night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And you played that here in Florida?
No,
too?
that
Okay.
was no.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of big money.
Yes.
So we need the tax incentives too, which,
Yes.
that's another conversation.
I know. Yes, that's a whole other episode. But it's great, and it's having that here. When you are thinking about, being a part of that person that is...
Sure. And I can do this.
Yeah,
I
do
like
that.
Okay, go ahead.
So thinking through that call you got from your agent, and and I've lived through construction as well, so I know what it's like to be in a tiny room and there's dust in your whole house all the time. So you're going through that, and you're doing this tape. What was it that made you do it? Yes, she called you, and yes, she said I'm going to hold you accountable. But what was that? To go, okay, well, let me wipe this dust off, make this tape. What do you think it was that really called for you to do that?
Well, the agent is the type of person where when you said hold me accountable, I went, oh gosh, yeah. I mean, she really gets that
You
message
felt
across clear. But what was interesting about that project was that whole audition process was interesting. The self-tape, because again, the self-tapes were really starting to take a foothold, which really changed the dynamic for actors not living in Los Angeles or New York. Atlanta was growing with tax incentives, which I wish we had here. With tax incentives, so that was accessible, right? But this self-tape thing, right, allowed people like me and others like me, all these actors, to go, oh, wait a minute, I can get a camera, I can get a backdrop, I can get some lights, and this is doable. I can set up my corner, my wall, my segment in my house, apartment, whatever. Or I can go to someone to tape me and then submit it. I have to go to Miami, which is, for some people 4.5 hours. For me, it's 6. And then another 6 hours driving home, which is a half of a day for an audition, which is ridiculous. So now, then you had, okay, well, things are more attainable in smaller towns.
Yes.
So that was eye-opening. The callback was in person, and was on vacation. My agent knew that. You got a callback for this, for this no-name job, which I still didn't know, right? Yeah. And you got a callback. It's in Atlanta. I was in Buffalo, going to Niagara Falls.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so I planned it. I went to a callback. It was the best callback I've ever been to. And that was still in person. So that was incredible. And so that whole dynamic, they didn't, of course, tell me for another month. And when I did get it, I when I got that call, I get the call, and then I realized what it was. And my husband was out of town, but I couldn't really tell him because they said, no, you've signed an NDA. I mean, this is a serious NDA. It's like, sign it with blood. And you can't tell anybody until we announce you, which was another difficult thing. So I had to wait 9 months until they announced.
You tell your husband?
No, I told my husband.
Okay.
But I have to be careful because anybody that knows him, he'll say something like, oh, I've seen books. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
Oh, I could get in big trouble, So
I love it when they're your biggest hype man.
I do.
My name will sometimes show my nails, but she did her nails herself.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, you had to tell them, hey, this is a blood NDA.
Serious NDA. Well, say, Marvel too.
Yes.
Was big. Quiet. You can't even say Marvel. Well, I'm out of town. I was a year ago. I was working a lot for Balenciaga, and I was on a job. I was doing a show for them in Paris, and all of a sudden, a friend of mine. I look at my phone. A friend of mine sends me a link. And there's Paul announcing, yes, usually she just booked Marvel, and she's doing this fabulous thing. I was like, oh, you don't understand. I know this one, of course it doesn't go viral.
Yeah.
But still, gotta be careful of those things. All of my actors do not tell anyone you sign an NDA. It means.
Yeah. That's it. It's good advice.
Yeah.
So is that why you didn't know what the production was? So your agent just told you that you need to audition for this movie, and and it was a no-name movie. Is that like a tactic in the business so that there's not a lot of hullabaloo around it, or okay.
Just things could get out.
Okay, I was gonna say because it's like they had the title. This is a series, so okay.
Right, they had a title,
but they gave you a phony title.
They gave me a phony title. Now, by the time the callback came, I figured it out because they used my character name Tigress.
Okay.
I went, what's Tigress? I had not read the books.
Yes.
I didn't know, and I asked someone much younger than me who said, Tigress?
Yeah.
You're kidding? That's all their names. I said, oh my gosh, okay. Are you sure? Yeah. I went, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't have said that to anybody.
But
you learn.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's a great story, to also, when you feel compelled to perform and like you said, you had an agent who was pushing you, but when you have that moment and you realize that you can do this, go, just because the title isn't what you think it is, or, just because of that, you don't actually know what it really could be. So don't limit your opportunities just because maybe you hadn't heard that title before or something.
It's true. And it's something, what, again, for the actors watching this, all too often we have, okay, I'm in this group because it's happened to me many times. You'll get an audition, either you'll get it yourself, or you'll get it from a casting director, you'll get it from your agent or whoever, and you'll get an audition and you'll look, that's not me. I'm not in that category. Wait, I'm female, this is male, this is younger, older. You don't know. There's a reason why you were chosen. Do it. Audition. I just, one of my actors auditioned for something and he said, this is not really me. I said, audition for this project. This is going to be a good project. And if you book this will look very good on your resume and you are working with good people. I just don't know. And we went round and round and round and round. He went home, did not audition. Okay, so end to the story. He comes back and said, I changed my mind. Good. Great. Put him on tape. They booked him, not for the role, the mean guy, but they booked him for another role. So you never know. You never know. I've auditioned for, I went in one time when I booked Arliss years ago, 100 years ago. I go in for the role of the ad executive, and I end up booking the role of a transvestite. Now, how does that work? But it did. Saying that I did that, but I did. And the same thing. You have a role, you're reading for the role of, I read for the role, this role is the role of a man. Same with Fear of Rain, they were looking for a man for my role. And I auditioned for it, and I booked it. And they changed the role. It could happen. It happens all the time. Say yes. Say yes. Yes, and be grateful. That's your job.
That
Like,
is my
it's your job.
favorite improv game and the way
Yeah.
yes, and I'm in the corporate space and I use that when I'm training leaders on how to handle anything with their team. And so we talk yes and I make these business leaders jump up and play improv.
Oh, that's so good. Wow, what a great looking elephant you are. Yes. And I have a pink trunk and polka dot bottom and a fluffy tail. I mean,
Yes.
it can take you anywhere.
Yeah. I love it. It's great. So thank you so much for
You're
that
welcome.
little tidbit. For your acting teacher, y'all, the acting coach.
Of course.
Speaking of being an acting
Yeah.
coach, if there are people local here in Florida, Dunedin, St. Pete area, are you accepting students or what would it look like?
Absolutely, we are accepting students. Station 12 Cinema's home is Greenlight Cinema. In Station 12 Studio, I don't know if I said that, but Station 12 Studio's home is Greenlight Cinema in downtown St. Pete. And you can look on Facebook. You can find us there. You can look at the Greenlight Cinema website and do one of the drop-down pages and you'll see Station 12 Studio. You can reach us on Instagram, Station 12 Studio. Actually, you can look for me online at Eugenie Bondurant on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
All the stuff,
Yeah, all
right?
that stuff.
Good.
That's how you reach me. We're in the middle of a session right now. We have 8-week sessions. So, and anyone can, you can audit, set it up, you audit, you see whether you like it. If you don't like it, no big deal. It's great. But you can come and see and get a taste of it. And we bring you up. We're doing an improv, you're up on your feet. You're not sitting in a chair. I think that's very important. You get a feel of it. Whether you like the vibe.
Yeah.
So when you're on a set, it is a community. It is your family. Even if it's for one day or a half a day, you're still part of that group and you're creating something. Well, it's the same thing at the studio. You're creating something. You're part of a community. You're part of that group. And, we want to push people forward. There was a film challenge here. And when I was one of the judges for the film challenge, when I looked at it, I'd say a good 3/4 of the people were produced, but my actors were producing or directing or in the projects in the film challenge. It's
Wow.
great. That's what we aspire to do, right?
Yeah.
It's like here at the film festival, same thing. You aspire, and it's happening.
And it's that leaving a legacy. It's leaving a legacy. It's inspiring the future generations of performers, producers, directors to do that. And that's what that hand up and hand down that you were talking about. It's all about that.
Raise up that level.
Yes. Well, Eugenie,
Quality.
for the last question we asked our guests
Okay.
I want to know about your meet cute when it comes to the film industry. So meet cute, as we know in the rom-coms, is when the characters meet and they fall in love and they know that they're meant to be together. So what was that for you in filmmaking?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to equate it to answer to that.
So it would
You
be,
stop me.
yes. So this would just be that moment when a spark happened
Uh-huh.
in your career, and you're like, this is what I was meant to do. I was meant to act. I was meant to
Honey, it was that first job.
Was it?
Hey,
Okay,
Sam.
good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no. Okay, so I graduated in corporate finance, and then a couple of years later, got a job in New Orleans. A couple of years later, I ended up, after an extended illness, going up to New York and modeling, right? When you graduate with a degree like that, you're always thinking like, okay, what am I really going to do? And this is a lot of fun, and it's great, and it's only going to be temporary. Pains pantyhose. I can monetize that. I can make a difference. I can do this. Wait a second. I can use my, I can use my brain and use whatever is here in my physicality. Every gig that I do has a meet cute stamp on it. Every single one. Everybody says, oh, what was your favorite project? The last project I was on was amazing,
I love
right? The last project I was on was in late November, early December. Amazing. It was incredible, and it was shot in St. Pete. I mean, my scenes were.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every single one has that magic. Yeah, it's true.
Well, good. Well, I'm so
Thank you.
glad that you were willing to take time out of that to come here, do the show, talk about filmmaking and just performing in Florida and everything that can happen.
I appreciate you asking.
And thank you for being on the Dunedin Film Festival podcast.